For more than 30 years, politicians have talked about immigration reform, and we've done nothing about it. It's time to fix it. We also have to get at the root problem of why people are fleeing, particularly to our southern border from Guatemala, Honduras, and El Salvador. The violence, the corruption, the gangs, the political instability, hunger, hurricanes, earthquakes, natural disasters. Immigrants have done so much for America during this pandemic and throughout our history. The country supports immigration reform. We should act.
That was some of what President Biden said about immigration policy last night, calling for comprehensive immigration reform, but not offering a lot of specifics on how we're going to get there. Now, the border and immigration have been among the few weak spots for Biden's White House to this point. Influx of migrants at the border was the biggest unexpected headache for Biden the first 100 days. Republicans eager to claim it's all Biden's fault for abandoning immigration policies implemented by his predecessor, President Trump. Now, it's hurt his poll numbers overall as well. Biden has a strong 61% approval score in recent polling from the AP, but that approval drops to 42% on the topic of immigration, 44% on border security. And when it comes to unaccompanied children appearing at the border, Biden's approval rate, it plummets to just 24%. Biden, he is putting Vice President Harris in charge of border issues, much like President Obama put Biden in charge of it years ago. And Harris is already focusing on the causes of mass migration. She is now working to improve life in Central America, especially in the so-called Northern Triangle countries, hoping to better the conditions there and hoping, consequently, it will keep people from coming here in the numbers they have been.
I've convened American foundations to renew their emphasis and priority around the Northern Triangle. I've been talking with foreign leaders. I met right in this room with the Prime Minister of Japan to talk about renewing our friendship on many levels, including an investment in the Northern Triangle. Similarly, I've talked to many heads of state around what we can do, including getting the UN to renew its focus on the Northern Triangle. We are prepared to make the investment and to get in there for the long haul, to do what is necessary to address the reasons people flee.
And for more, let's bring in our guest, Fernanda Santos. Fernanda is a contributing columnist with the Washington Post opinion page, also a journalism professor at Arizona State. In our most recent column titled "The Real Crisis Along the U.S.-Mexico Border." First off, your reaction to what you heard last night from the president. As I said, there was some, strong language, but not a lot of specifics. How did you hear it?
Well, first, thanks for having me here, Richard. Biden said things that are not very different than what his predecessor, President Obama, not President Trump, said, and others before Obama said as well, which is we have this big immigration bill, very ambitious bill, and there's a little bit for everybody. If you want more security on the border, we have money for that. If you want a pathway to citizenship for undocumented immigrants, we have that too. And what I think he's banking on is that we know the details, the specifics, especially people in Congress, that there are different people with different preferences, and that ultimately there will be enough votes from the Democrats and some Republicans, which he'll need, to pass this bill once and for all. The problem to me wasn't so much the lack of specifics, given that this was a State of the Union address, is not really a place where you offer often a lot of specifics on a lot of different things. But to me, the issue is that we're committing the same mistake again, which is to lump everything together and hope for the best, when it's clear that there are some parts of the immigration bill that are a lot more palatable than other parts. And my fear is that in the end, it's all going to implode and nothing will get passed.
Fernanda, I think I'm going to ask a question. I'm pretty sure the right answer is all of the above, but I'm going to ask you to prioritize. Is the problem why they're coming in terms of the desperation that's going on, not just in the Northern Triangle, but in so much of Latin America? Or is it more when they get here, we are not equipped, not just at the border, but in the immigration courts whatsoever, to properly process the population either looking for asylum or a pathway to citizenship?
Yes, all of the above. So I'll start with the second part. That's an issue that it's been going on for years. Predates Biden, predates Trump. The immigration courts are overloaded, overwhelmed, and an asylum case takes more than a year to get its hearing before a judge. So in the meantime, people are here sort of in limbo, not really sure if this is really where they're going to stay or if they will eventually have to go back. So we have to figure out a way to deal with that so that the process is faster. But the addressing the reasons why people come here is also very important. But one interesting thing that I'm seeing, especially here in Arizona, I visited some locations in Phoenix and Tucson where migrants are being received, is that although the conversation has been a lot around Central Americans, there are many people coming from other countries in Latin America, because no longer are we talking about a reason for people to migrate that's specific to the violence and upheaval, political instability of the Northern Triangle. We're now talking about other countries such as Brazil, my home country, Ecuador, Cuba, where many people are leaving, have been leaving, because the economic conditions that they were living under in these countries feel unsustainable to them. And, we can fault ourselves here in the United States for creating this idea that is somewhat true. That this is the country of opportunity. This is the place where if you come and work hard, things happen for you. This is the place where even if you don't have a job or if you're hungry, there will be someone or somewhere you can go for help. And so people leave their countries with that idea in mind, that illusion in mind, that dream in mind. And obviously they come to our doorsteps, and they've been coming to our doorsteps these days, and they find that the reality is actually quite different.
Talk about the importance of language and just a simple word, alien, that the administration says we're not going there anymore. I know to some people they might say, you know what, Rich, this is just semantics, but it really isn't, is it?
No, no, it's not semantics. We'll start with immigrant, right? The word immigrant today, in a lot of people's minds, the first image that it evokes is of, these migrants that your images just showed, people desperate walking to the border. Well, there are many kinds of immigrants with many different experiences who come here, but this term has been hijacked. The idea of the use of the word alien, which is present in every single federal document to this date, is changing that, getting rid of that word and replacing it with non-citizens, which is what Biden's bill proposes, Biden's plans propose. It, to me, is very, very important, because the same way that immigrant has been hijacked to mean immediately unauthorized, undocumented, illegal immigrant, however you want to say it. I don't use the word illegal. The word alien is now used as a way of demeaning those who come from other places. So the idea of addressing the topic of immigration more holistically, including the words that we use to talk about immigrants and immigration, to me, it's a very, very positive and necessary step.
Finally, it's interesting to me how we've gone round and round on this topic, but if people even go back to the last Bush administration, towards the end of his term, he proposed immigration reform that I think at this point Democrats would sign up for, to say, in as polarized a climate that is Washington, we'll take that over the reality of just how divided it is up there, that you can't get anything done, at least on a bipartisan level.
Well, and this is, I think, the biggest issue is that we have we have bad memories. We don't remember very well what happened just, 16 years ago, 12 years ago, 20 years ago. I became a citizen under Bush when Sensenbrenner had a very restrictive immigration bill. And at that time, I was concerned that something would change fundamentally that would prevent me, a green card holder, from becoming a U.S. citizen. Now, there was also the other side of it, which was a reaction to Sensenbrenner, the Bush bill that you mentioned, something that, as you said, Democrats today would be happy to sign and implement, because it seems to have so much of what we need today, yet all of it has been gotten lost. And, the strife, all the politics, all the partisanship that has defined so many of the big debates in this country, when truly what we need is to get to a point where we can agree on certain things that are very important. For example, a path to citizenship to dreamers. These kids were brought here at a very young age who know no country other than this country as their country and who are still stuck in this limbo. Some of them with DACA, the temporary permission to live and work in this country, others with no status.
Fernanda Santos, thank you so much for the time. I appreciate it.
It was great to be with you.
Up next, his crewmates, their household names etched into American history. But his role, it was to stay in space and make their mission even possible. He did that and a whole lot more. We'll remember late astronaut Michael Collins next.